Joseph, I want to get to you about the articles of impeachment, because this is what the Democrats have said to be considering. They're saying that there's an abuse of power and bribery as it relates to Ukraine. They're also saying obstruction of Congress for the president refusing to hand over documents and preventing officials from testifying. And they're also saying obstruction of justice for the way the president tried to block the Mueller investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. As a former prosecutor, what do you make of those charges? How strong is the case?
So, Linda, I think you're absolutely right. You provided the framework of what are most likely to be the articles of impeachment. There was a lot of back and forth in yesterday's hearing about whether you need a crime in order to impeach a president. Some people feel yes, others feel no. But the consensus yesterday among all four witnesses was technically you don't need a crime. So I think you are going to see a little back and forth about this bribery versus abuse of office or abuse of power, and whether or not technically the bribery violation is there, or if it's a little more amorphous. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because it's what the House says it is. So I think you might see a bit of a side argument about whether there's a crime or not. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if the evidence is there and the House votes in favor of impeachment. As far as obstruction of justice, that's another one. And again, we saw some tussling back and forth over whether defying a congressional subpoena by going to court and asserting privilege is itself obstruction of justice. And there were some good back and forth yesterday about whether or not that's impeachable. But again, at the end of the day, it's whatever the House decides. No court is going to reach in here and say yes or no, you can or cannot impeach President Trump on those grounds. So I think it's really a combination of the theories we heard yesterday, the evidence we've heard over the last few weeks, but then really every individual member of Congress will have to decide for him or herself if the evidence matches the theory, and if so, to vote for impeachment or not.
Right. You broke that down for us very well, Joseph. And just for our viewers, I just want to play some sound made by the Republican-appointed legal witness yesterday, who says there has not been enough of an investigation yet to pursue something as serious as impeachment. Let's just play that sound.
The abbreviated period of this investigation, which is problematic and puzzling. This is a facially incomplete and inadequate record in order to impeach a president. We have a record of conflicts, defenses that have not been fully considered, unsubpoenaed witness with material evidence. To impeach a president on this record would expose every future president to the same type of inchoate impeachment.
Joseph, what do you make of that argument? Because we obviously had the three experts on the Constitution who were appointed by the Democrats who said there is enough evidence, it's very strong. And then this expert, also on the Constitution, who said the case is weak.
So Professor Turley, who you just played right there, when he introduced himself, he said, I am a law professor, but I'm also a defense lawyer. And as a defense lawyer myself, part of our job is to pick apart a prosecution. So we're always going to argue there's not enough evidence, you need more time, and you don't have basically what you need to convict, or in this case, impeach my client. So I think he makes a good argument, and certainly it's an argument that anyone on the defense side is going to make. And again, it's really a question of subjectivity, that every member of Congress can't really hide behind what some expert says. Each one of them is going to have to say, yes, I think the evidence is here and I'm comfortable voting for impeachment, or no, I want to hear more. I want to see more evidence. I want to see more documents. I want to hear from more witnesses. So, and I think, at the end of the day, the real jury is the American people, and the American people will decide if they felt this was a fair or unfair process, ultimately, when it comes down to it.
That's it. It certainly is going to come down to that election next year. Former U.S. Justice Department prosecutor Joseph Moreno, great to get your perspective. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Linda. Always a pleasure.